Hello. In this video we will talk about File Manager in Trados Business Manager. So this is about handling files, and I will try to demonstrate how to work with files, how to configure the system to handle files, and we'll try to provide an example how to handle quotes and projects containing a lot of source files and multiple target languages. So let's start. The first, before you begin to upload files and work with them, it is, say, mandatory to provide settings for your file system. And you open User Settings and go to Files and Folders tab here. And there are a number of areas, groups of settings, and the first one is called Base Folders. And this parameter default folder with work files is the root of everything, the initial folder on your hard drive, where all other entities, entity is a quote, project, or some client, folders of your entities will be created. So this is a base folder, and outside of this folder TBM won't be able to store any files. In this case, you see that I have provided C translate. So folder translate on the C drive is the base folder for all entities. Then there are a number of parameters: folder name for storing quote files, project files, invoice files, mail message files. This is nested folder inside this base folder to create folders for entities of corresponding type. So all quote folders will be created inside C translate quotes subfolder, and etc. You can leave these values blank, and it will allow to skip creating nested folder for entity type, and then, for example, project folder will be created right inside C translate, not inside this folder, if to make it blank. Next, there is a number of groups to provide project folder name templates for different entity types. This is translation projects, jobs, quotes, assignment, invoices. Project folder name template or other name templates allow you to specify how application will determine folder name for particular entity type. In this case, for project, you can see that you can use a number of variables specified below the field. You can find default value and a field to provide your custom template if you wish to change the default one. And to work with the template, you have to check all the available variables described here, and you can use them to specify some path or folder name based on this and this path. You can use backslash to create additional subfolders. For example, if I want to create a specific subfolder inside C translate projects and name this subfolder as, in this case, variable 2, which means client. So we create subfolder with client name, and under this subfolder, a folder containing project number will be created. You can combine variables as you like. And for example, if I want to add project date here before project number, I can type something like this. Curly brackets, 1, space, and then variable 0 inside curly brackets again. When you use variable containing date, you can specify additional formatting for the date. And to do this, after variable name, you type semicolon and then provide some formatting string. And this formatting string, you can find rules how to compose these strings in Google, for example, by searching for .NET date formatting, something like that. And as a general rule, you can use Y for year, capital M for months, and small d for days. Also, there are short types of formatting for dates. For example, I can type like this, and small d means short date representation. And this representation is determined by language settings specified in your operating system. So it's not recommended to use like this, because different users who will be using the application may have different language settings, and this format string D will be processed by the application differently depending on the browser which user is using. So it's better to provide something explicitly like this, YYY. It will be 4 numbers of year, then 2 numbers of months, and 2 numbers of dates, like that. So soon I will see an example how this format string works to determine project folder. Nested folders also can be created automatically. So when project folder is created, application inside source folder of a project may create additional subfolders, and you can use this tag editor to provide necessary subfolders which you wish to create. And then I save. The next what I want to describe is how to actually upload files, because when you specify all these settings, actually on your hard drive nothing is created until you upload some file. So let's switch to actual file manager, how to work with this. And probably let's start with a quote. So in addition to demonstrating how to work with file manager, I will demonstrate the whole process, how files are moving from one entity to another one. So let's create a new quote and specify some basic details like some client name and languages. Let's say we will have few languages, English as source and French and say German as target. Quote items, and let's leave them empty for now. And under Files tab here, near quote items, you will find access to File Manager. And here is how default File Manager looks like. And it will look like that in all entities and projects and jobs and customers and whatever. So the first area here is named Entity Folder. And this group at the top of File Manager determines where quote files will be stored. And according to template specified in the application settings, under base folder, which is not displayed here, we create quotes folder, then cap L, which means short name of the client, and then number of a quote. And you can find few buttons here: create folder, redetect folder, and edit. So when application automatically determined this folder, it uses variables specified in the quote folder name template. And if I change any value here in the quote, folder name will be changed accordingly. Say I increase number here, and you can see that number is reflected in the folder name as well. If I change client, you can see that this part of path also has been changed. Because of that, because folder name depends on parameters which you specify in an entity, folder is actually not created on your hard drive initially. And this is signaled by this icon, which says that folder does not exist yet. Edit button here allows to provide custom name for this folder. So if you don't like something how application determined folder name, you can click edit before folder is actually created on the hard drive and specify folder name here as you like, something like that. And when folder name is determined correctly and all the values provided in the quote correct, you can start uploading files, and you can do this by few ways. First of all, you can click create folder here, and this folder will be actually created on the hard drive. But you can skip this step if you like and start uploading files immediately by dragging and dropping files. And if this folder is not yet created, it will be created automatically. Let's say we click create a folder and we get a message that success folder is actually created. And since I'm running this application in the local host, I have this button here, but in Teams version it won't be visible because all files are stored on the server, and of course you can not have direct access to your server and to the hard drive on that server. So I can click on this folder and I can see that on the ctranslate quotes cap.l a folder for my quote has been created. And by default, application creates 3 predefined folders which names cannot be changed. And these folders are source, ref, and out. Source folder allows to store source files which must be processed and delivered at the end of the work. Ref files contain all the reference files and accompanying files which should not be translated but can be used by vendors. And out folder, this folder will contain all the delivered files which our vendors or our staff delivers for during this project. And let me say a few notes about ref folder. Ref folder allows to contain some reference files. It could be like style guides or something like that, some reference files. These reference files can be automatically propagated into the lower levels of entities. What it means? It means that when we select some client, and let me click edit here and show you file manager for this client, we also can upload some reference files to that client. So let me demonstrate this. Let me go to hard drive and upload some file to reference folder of this client. It is some reference file. Okay. And now if to switch back to the files and select ref folder, you can see that inside this quote, since this quote is created for this client, we automatically get this reference file in this quote. And all nested translation projects, translation jobs, and translation assignments which belong to this client will automatically get this reference file here. And this is very important. And for example, if we upload reference file not on the client level but on the quote level, then only project jobs and assignments belonging which were created based on this quote will automatically get this reference file, but not for this client. In the same manner, you can upload reference file to the project, some specific project, and then reference files from that project will be automatically propagated to the nested translation jobs and assignments. So this is how it works. As for source folder, we can upload source files in the following manner. We can open some folder on our hard drive and drag and drop one or multiple files here to the source, and they will automatically appear in the source folder of our quote. This works pretty easily and logically, And if we will go to the quotes and open source folder here, you will find that we have these files here. Let me delete it. Yes. And now there is another way to upload files. Upload and extract zip file. This button allows to upload a zip file, and zip file may contain some structure of nested folders. And when you use this functionality, zip file will be uploaded, automatically extracted, with keeping all this folder structure determined in the zip file. And this way we can get necessary structure here. So let me demonstrate this. I have packed these 5 folders. Each one contains about 10 files into some zip file. And let me select it. An application extracts and tells you path of files and contents of zip file. You click OK, and now under source folder you get this zip file extracted, and you can see that this zip file contains 5 folders, and each one there is some number of files. And so we have to translate these files during the workflow. Before we move on, let me go through some buttons here on the. Now, before I will explain all this functionality of toolbars above folder tree and above file list, let me create translation project based on this quote, and then we will get back to these buttons. So to do this, what I have to do, I change status of a quote to sent, and then let's close it and accept this quote. And now translation project was created. If we will go to the Files tab, we will find the following picture. Here is folder name determined according to our settings which we have specified. As you remember, we wanted to create projects folder, then client name subfolder, and then date in the form of year, months, and day, space, project number. So it looks like that, and folder is determined correctly, and this icon demonstrates signals that folder is not yet actually created. And in the folder tree you can see that we already have source files. We can expand it and view these files. So folder does not yet exist, but we already have files in the project. And near name of each file you can find this icon which says that this file is linked. This means that a file is not direct one uploaded to translation project, but linked one. So it's coming from some other entity, in this case from a quote. Linked files physically contained or stored in the folder of the base entity, but they are displayed in the nested entity as well. And if I will switch to ref files, you can see that I still have that reference file of my customer, of the client. And let's go to the next concept. Since we have linked files, and I can start explaining functionality of toolbar buttons. So the first one is create a new folder in the currently selected folder. That's clear. You can select any folder and create nested folder in your project folder. Next one, delete, allows to delete selected folder except linked files. Say if my folder contains only linked files, I cannot delete it. Next one, unlink all linked files from the selected folder. Instead of deleting, because we cannot delete files which belong to some master entity, we can only unlink them. So they will be removed from the project, but they will stay in the initial entity. And that's important. For example, there are cases when you have some source files in the quote, but you need to process them somehow, pre-process, to start translation. So these Word files won't work for you, and you have to select source folder, unlink everything here, and upload another batch of files to your project. You do not need these initial files coming from the quote. So you can do like this: select source folder, unlink, then upload new batch of files, but which are already processed. And this way you start working on processed files. Rename folder allows to rename it, if of course it's actually belongs to the project folder. And download as zip. You can select any folder in your tree and click download as zip. Then all files which are found inside selected folders and nested folders will be packed into a zip file, like that. In the file list, you can find the following buttons. Resync folder. What it allows to do, you can use your file manager to upload some file, to copy some file to the project folder, and if you want to see it to appear in the list of files, you click resync folder. Delete file allows to physically delete the file. Now it's disabled because the file is linked. File type allows to change file type for selected files. Again, this functionality is not available for linked files. Download allows to download selected single file. Download as zip allows to download selected files in a zip file. Then add Dropbox file, add Google Drive file, and add OneDrive file allows to link your Cloud Drive file to the current entity. When you click on this button, you get access to your remote drive, Cloud Drive, and here you can select some file for uploading, like that, and click OK, and Cloud Drive will appear here in the folder which we have selected. As for the last button here, collect files, let's talk about it a little later when we will create few translation jobs and assignments inside this project. So now the task is we have set of files, and let's remove these cloud files. Alright, so and we have a lot of files and a lot of folders, and in total there are 100 files, and our project manager has to deliver about 200 files in total. So how to behave, what to do, and where to go to manage it all. Our next goal will be creation of translation jobs linked with these files. So all these files in our source folder should be added to create jobs, and this way they must be processed. And in the out folder, we have to get translated files for both our target languages. So how is this achieved in TBM? What to do to get these files here? Of course, when you have not so many files, you can enter some data manually here, create jobs and add tasks and add corresponding files to the jobs. That's easy, that's possible without problems. So for example, we have only one file, like sample one. What we can do, we can go to translation jobs and click create jobs. And we have get file selector here. Let's imagine we don't have too much files, and let me unselect few of them and just select sample one, and then click OK to get our jobs. 2 jobs created in total, and if we open any job and go to files, then under source file I will find my sample file. Then if we go to files of our translation project and go to batch 1, you can see that near sample1 file we have a new icon with briefcase image, and if I hover mouse pointer I see that this file has two jobs created over these two languages. So I understand that this file was processed and jobs are created. Next, when I create translation assignment, for example for this translation job, we create assignment, select single file, click OK, and again OK, and I get back to projects files to batch1 folder. Now I see that for this sample file, sample1, I have translation assignment as well. This one created for French language only, and this way I can easily understand that I need to create assignment for second language as well. In the same manner, if I will open a job and open French translation and go to files, I see that I have translation assignment for this file. If I go to German job and find this file as well, I don't have assignment, so I understand that this one should be still created. Later, when I deliver files, they will be, for example, displayed like this. Go to source file, batch1, find my file, and click this icon to open context menu. Select upload target file, select it, and under out folder, application created nested folder with the target language named, and in the same nested folder according to the source folder path our target file has been uploaded. And now if I will get back to source folder, my sample file will be marked with target file icon, which tells me that we have target file for this source file. And this way we handle multiple files, and we can create as many jobs as needed, or include all source files into a single job and then create translation assignments based on these files by attaching or linking necessary source files and tracking which files were already attached and which were not. We are creating as many jobs and assignments as needed this way. For example, now if I will click create jobs, you will see that this sample1 file is not selected by default in the file attachment selector, because it already has been added to assignments, and it has also target files and jobs. So it is not pre-selected from this attachment selector dialog. I understand that only these files, which are pre-selected now by default, were not processed in any translation jobs and assignments. To speed up everything, I can clear my jobs. Let's delete it. And now we're starting from scratch, and I will demonstrate another approach, and it's about integration with RWS products, and in this case I want to demonstrate this on the base of Studio integration. Let me click RWS, Trados Studio, and we can go and import data from our analysis report as well. For example, if you have multiple analysis projects for different files contained in your project, you can follow this way as well by importing separate analysis file. But I will go to Studio, create project, and I will import analysis from Studio. So let me enter job name here, like that, and then specify folder where I want to store Studio project, and then like that, and then select files which I want to process, and in this case I want to handle all files. Now let's click OK, and dialog appears. Let's wait when Studio generates a project and analysis report, and soon it will appear on the screen in the analysis results dialog. some error. Okay, and analysis report was sent by Studio and displayed here in the totals mode. So all these numbers here are coming from all files which we have in our project summarized. And I can select analysis per file option here, and retrieve data will be grouped by file names now. We have a lot of rows here, 5 pages. And for each row I can see file name to which it belongs. And when I click OK at the bottom, TBM will create necessary translation jobs and include provided analysis data there. So analysis was generated for all files in this case, but if it was not for all files, application will automatically determine source files from translation project and link to created translation jobs. Let's check it. And if I will open the first job, under job tasks, I will find a lot of tasks created for different file names here according to my analysis report. And if I go to files and under source files, you will see that TBM automatically attached all the source files from my project. They all are here, and then I can go also in different ways from now. For example, I can switch to translation job tasks and find tasks which belong to necessary files which I wish to assign to some vendors, and create translation assignment for these two files. So I click create assignment, and you can see that analysis data from these two files was loaded into assignment tasks table. And if I will switch to the files tab and select source files, then I will find these two files which I used to create this assignment. Now under files tab of our job, you can see that these two files are marked as files which have assignments. And if, for example, I click create translation assignment not from job tasks table but from the whole translation job, then I will get attachment selector where I can select which files I want to copy to my translation assignment. And let's deselect some files and leave only batch 2 folder for our new assignment. So I deselected all files here, and these ones only remain checked, and then I click OK to create new assignment. And now under tasks table, we have got only tasks from source job which belong to files from selected folder. And again, if we switch to the files tab and source folder, then you will find only batch 2 folder with files from this folder here. And now if I click OK and go, for example, to files of my project, and in the batch 5 folder, here we see that we have jobs for all these files, but if I select batch 2 folder, you will find out that we also have assignments for these files as well, but only for one language. Here, again, if I will go to translation job and click create assignment, then I do not have pre-selected files from batch 2 folder because these ones already have target assignments for these files. So this way you can create assignments as many times as needed, because you may wish to split single job between many translators like that, and in this way, in such manner, this task can be achieved. The only requirement which is important here is that under translation job tasks table, file name column should be filled, because application uses this column to set correspondence between task and actual file contained in the source folder here. So now the time has come to explain the last button here in the file manager toolbar, and it is collect files. Let's click it, and you will see that list of files displayed here. Everything is red, which means no any work on source files has been started, although we already have created some translation assignments and jobs here. And if I will go to jobs, you will see that all them has processing status, and for assignments the status is draft. However, we still didn't upload any target files for any of these entities. And let's try to do that. For example, let's open some of our French assignments. Probably this one should be the first one, and let's check Files tab. What we have here, yeah, sample one file, and from batch one folder. And let's say you want to upload target file for this file. Target file can be uploaded also from the vendor portal. Behavior will be the same, but let's use context menu, upload target file, select one, and under out folder we can find our file. Now let's click OK, and assignment has single target file. Now let's return to translation project files, click collect files, and yeah, we still have red color. Probably I have forgotten to change assignment status. Let's try to change it to delivered, and let's go back to files again and click collect files, and yeah, now we have green color, and you can see that this sample one file is now marked as delivered in the French language for proofreading service. Alright, in the source column here you see a special icon which displays translation assignment from which this file is coming from, and I can click on this button to quickly view that assignment in read-only mode. If I can collect this file into my translation project by selecting and clicking OK, and now under out folder this file will appear of my project. And if I will go to the source folder and select batch one, you can see that this one has icon showing that we have target file for single language pair. Application does not automatically collect files from nested assignments. The reason behind this, because when some assignment is delivered, there is a possibility that delivered file will still need some post-processing by your team, and in this case the workflow will look like this. You will download target file from an assignment, open it on your machine, do something with that file, provide some probably checks, formatting, DTP or whatever, prepare some PDF file like that, and only after that you will go to the translation project files and upload target files manually directly here. So it should not come from translation assignments automatically, but it should be uploaded manually. So you decide how to get that file, and here you can use collect files button, and if target file in the last assignment is okay, you can just collect it and upload it or upload it manually to the out folder of your translation project folder. Or you set up some file and use upload target file option here. So this way you can handle as many files and languages as needed as required for your project. And at the end, when all files are ready, you can set up this out folder and download it, select this folder and download it as zip file and send it to your client, for example. Or if you use client portal in TBM, you can just check that everything exists in this out folder and deliver project using default way. You can use just change status to finished or send it to your project manager from your client who will get the notification about delivered project, or you can write a message to PM using this button to inform your client that the project is ready and can be downloaded. And then your client will be able to log into the client portal, and under Files tree they will be able to select this out folder and download it as a zip file, for example. So this is how it works. This is what is allowed by a file manager. Of course, we still have any other functionality of application to improve here, but in general, this is overall approach to working with files in Trados Business Manager. So thank you for watching, and see you next time.